Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello again.
Yes, again, indeed. The sun is setting, so we're quickly losing our light, so we have to hurry up and go live and stop fussing with it. We've been fussing with the lighting and trying to figure it out. We're failing at lighting. But so we are making our 500-calorie fasting day meal right now, and later than we usually do. I guess today was an easier fast day for us. No comment?
Was it easier fasting?
Was it an easier fast day for you today?
Yeah, it was. I didn't really get hungry. I just figured now's time to eat because if we don't, we won't eat today at all.
Right, exactly. So. And I have things to do tomorrow morning. So he actually came up to me off my office and was like, "You need to eat because otherwise you're not going to eat breakfast in the morning, and then you'll be gone all day." So we did. I am working on making a sweet potato. It's about this big, however big that is. And Russ is making his salad. What are you putting on it there?
So I'm making the green I'm using is spinach. And I put some raw onion on there. I put some hemp seeds, which you saw me put on maybe in the beginning of this video.
That's protein.
That's protein. And I'm putting quinoa on now, roughly about 4 tablespoons worth. Then I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of sunflower seeds and a 1/4 cup of pumpkin seeds. And then I'm going to throw on some ratatouille that Robin made last weekend.
And the quinoa, if you guys don't know what that is, it's a rice-like grain that you use it just like rice and you cook it like rice, but it's really healthy. It's really good for you.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on why today was easier fasting for both of us?
I just think our bodies are getting used to the cycle that we're on.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started doing it, it was tougher. Right? I mean, the first time we fast, it was like, actually, that's not true. The second time we fast,
it was harder.
It was harder. Yeah. And then it seemed to be pretty consistently hard for about the first 5, 6, maybe 7 weeks. And now all of a sudden, I think our bodies have adapted. Although I will say last time we fasted, which was last Thursday, I felt hungry that day. So I don't know.
I know sometimes when we fast, it's not that you're so hungry so much as it is that you think about, oh, I could eat some almonds, or oh, I could, and so there's more thought about it. I didn't really think about it today.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I was also busy though. I spent a lot of the day reading.
Right. And that is funny because, like, I'll walk to the kitchen and get a cup of coffee, or I'll fill up some water, and I'll pass like the almonds. I go ready to grab one. I say, "Oh, nope, not today. You can't have an almond."
So you have to remind yourself.
Yeah.
But I do find that fasting is easier than dieting, because with dieting you're constantly saying no, 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 no. Every single day is no. And with fasting, it's just for us, 2 days a week. You say not today, and you can say no to everything. You don't have to say just a little bit. So it's different that way. I feel like, you're learning from me. You have to spread it out.
Yeah, I'm spreading it out. Yes.
Usually his salads get so domed that when he puts like tomatoes on them, they all roll off the plate.
Tomatoes.
Yes, there's a bunch of them over there. I picked them yesterday.
I'm putting tomatoes on as well.
But so he's flattening it out so we can put tomatoes.
Right. And
How many do you want? This many?
Yeah, that's good. Pop them in.
Tomatoes.
Excellent.
There you go. So we were asked I think on Friday, we were asked about our opinion of alcohol consumption along with this kind of diet and fasting and that kind of thing. So we wanted to kind of have a conversation about that. Of course, it's important for both of us to point out we are not medical doctors. You should absolutely talk to your medical doctor about your alcohol consumption if you're concerned about it. But we can talk a little bit about our opinions.
Right. And what we've found out just by looking at documentaries and reading books.
So do you want to go ahead and start with kind of what we've seen and not seen in the documentaries?
What we've not seen is a lot of conversation around alcohol, which was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're avoiding it on purpose, or it's just not considered. I don't know. I hate to use the word detrimental because
it's a poison. I mean, that's the reality. Alcohol is a poison to our bodies. We know that. We know that based on how our bodies respond. So it is very strange that the documentaries that are talking about health aren't talking about alcohol at all.
Right. And then the one that we saw recently, I forget the name of the show. It's on Netflix. It's a series, about food.
Food, yeah.
And we will get that name and get it back to you
I think it's
guys.
like What About Food or All About Food
Yeah,
or
something like that. But I want to be sure before I tell you what it is. But their first episode dealt with alcohol. And they went through the whole process of telling how it works on the brain, whether you binge drink, whether you overdrink, whether you drink casually and all that. Unless I'm not remembering correctly, I don't think one point of that whole documentary did they absolutely say, so avoid alcohol.
They didn't.
Basically, what I got from that first episode was alcohol used in moderation. I believe one of the terms I used could even be good for you. Again, I'm going to say what Robin said before.
We're not medical doctors.
We're not medical doctors. We're not giving you advice here. We're just telling you what we're finding out.
The interesting thing, though, and this is me as a psychologist speaking, is that when you tell people to do something in moderation, often what they consider moderation is just more than whatever they do. So if you tell someone that they should drink in moderation, they assume that whatever amount they're drinking is just less than what moderation would be. So it's important to be able to give people a definition of what moderation is and not just use that word. Because it's like saying something's average. If you don't know what average is, then it doesn't help you any.
Correct.
Michelle's commenting. Oh, Michelle says, no, we need wine. And you know what? That brings us to another interesting point, because a lot of people, when I talk to them about the fasting and the plant-based diet, they say things like, well, I could never give up dairy, or I could never give up cheese, or I could never give up steak. And there's an interesting difference between can't and don't want to. And I think that's something that people don't consider when they say, oh, I could never. They don't consider the fact that there's a big difference between can't and don't want to. And I think that's true with alcohol too. So Russ and I are not teetotalers. We're not saying, oh, we never drink. That's not true. I told you guys on Friday that I had about 2 glasses of red wine, give or take, a little less maybe. Mm-hmm. And, Russ likes to have a beer now and then. I'm not a beer drinker. I had a friend that, tried really hard to make me a beer drinker, and it all tastes like beer, so I don't drink beer. But I think there's a real culture around drinking in the United States. I know that we enjoy going out to happy hour and sitting at the bar and enjoying each other's company and sharing a cocktail. So I do think there is room for it, but I do think that it's important that you be informed about your drinking. If you're going to be plant-based, if you're going to be fasting, and what alcohol does to your system, and if that's part of how you want to do the decisions you make, the choices you make. Because when it comes down to it, plant-based fasting is all about choices and the decisions you make. And I think alcohol is just one of those choices. You have to decide, what does it mean to you? And what does it mean with your exercise? Because it does dehydrate you.
It does.
And I know for us, we definitely don't sleep as well.
I was going to say, it interrupts your sleep patterns. Yeah.
So absolutely. That's something that we consider when we decide if we're going to have alcohol or not and how often. So, make informed decisions. And I do think I wanted to mention, too, that there's a lot of information out there about whole food plant-based eating, and there's a lot of information out there about fasting and intermittent fasting. There's very little out there about whole food plant-based eating with intermittent fasting. Right. I think we might be guinea pigs on that. I haven't found anyone else doing it. I think so you don't have to jump in whole hog like we did. You don't have to say, yes, I'm going to do it all. But you can pick one thing. Maybe you pick one meal a day that you make sure is plant-based, or what that looks like for you. Or maybe you decide that when the kind of intermittent fasting you're going to do, maybe you do an 18-hour fast from dinner to lunch the next day. There are so many options out there that you could try. And I'm a wealth of information at this point because I've seen all the documentaries and read all the books. So if you have questions, I encourage you to ask. And I know, Russ, you have a lot of information too, because I read books to him. Yes. Read stuff out loud to him quite a bit. Right. So did you want raisins? You have them out here.
I do want raisins, actually. Actually, you know what?
You're not going to do raisins?
I don't think I'm going to do them.
No.
But what I do like about plant-based diets is, if you can see this, so this is my one meal, and it's roughly 500 calories, give or take. Yep. So, that's going to fill me up, and it's going to make me a very happy camper. So. Absolutely.
Michelle just asked, why are we doing the 2 days of fasting a week? When we looked at the different fasting options that are out there, the 5-2 seemed to fit best for us. Right. So we originally were doing Saturdays and Wednesdays, and we found that didn't fit well with our social lives. And so we switched it to Mondays and Thursdays. Sorry, my potato's hot. Ow. And the original purpose, Michelle, was because both of us had relatively borderline high cholesterol. Russ more borderline than mine. My last measured cholesterol before we started doing plant-based and fasting was 246, which is really high. And it's some of it is based on the fact that I have a thyroid condition and that my body doesn't process cholesterol like most people's do. And my doctor said to me, there's nothing you can do. You need to go on medication. And I tried. I did for about 3 weeks. She put me on a statin and I tried it. And I can't take it. One of the side effects of a statin is muscle damage. And my shins, my legs started bothering me so badly I could not sleep. My legs just ached.
Right.
And so when we looked at plant-based and saw that, you can lower your cholesterol being plant-based, we were like, oh, that's a good idea. So we started that in June. And then in July, my doctor mentioned the science around intermittent fasting. So we started researching that and we added that. And 2 weeks ago, we got our blood work done.
Yes.
My cholesterol level is down 51 points with no medication, just plant-based and fasting.
Right.
And my doctor's pretty sure that it's going to be continue to go down as we continue on this lifestyle. So we had talked about before we had our blood work done, if it comes back at this, what will we do? If it comes back at that, what do we do? And could we be more strict? Yes, absolutely we could, because there are days that we are vegetarian, and sometimes we decide, we go to Ted's Montana Grill at Christiana Mall, and they have these little 3-ounce burgers, and sometimes I have one, and when I do, I put pink on my calendar that I keep track of my food, so I know. So we are about 90%, I guess, whole food plant-based. Is that your guess?
Yeah, 85, 90.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, it's not, you don't have to be 100% all of the time. Our bodies are absolutely amazing at taking care of us. I can talk today, really I can. But we have to give it that opportunity. And I feel like the fasting really gives our bodies a break from the insulin production and the go, and lets our bodies go into repair mode, clean up the cells that aren't as healthy as they could be, break down some of that fat. So that was our goal for doing the fasting, was to lower our cholesterol. And the positive side effect for both of us, was that we both lost about 15 pounds.
Yes.
I'm now roughly 4 pounds away from the weight I was when I competed as a volleyball player in my mid-20s. Yeah. So I'm pretty impressed with myself as far as that goes.
Yeah. I don't have a fair measurement for that. I weigh about what I weighed my freshman year in high school. So I don't know if that's a fair assessment. To judge.
Well, because in your 20s as a competitive bodybuilder, you
I was 210 pounds.
And probably this wide. We're going to find the picture. We are, and we'll post it. We promise.
I don't know if anybody really needs to see that.
I think they do. So we appreciate all of you guys showing up. Russ is salivating over his salad he has made here.
It's time to eat, folks.
You didn't put your apple cider vinegar on it.
Not yet. I figured I'd stop walking away from the
camera. So he's going to put apple cider vinegar. I'm going to have a sweet potato with avocado and hemp seeds for a little bit of protein. And that's it. Tomorrow we won't be here because, as you guys know, I will be at the TEDx event all day with my client. I have to go to dress rehearsal in the morning. So we won't be here. I asked Russ if he wanted to do one by himself, and he said, no, not really.
I'd rather wait for the lady of the house to be home.
So we won't be here tomorrow. We won't do a live tomorrow, but we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll show you our breakfast on Wednesday. So look for us at about 9 o'clock Wednesday morning, and we'll talk about what we're doing. And I'm sure I'll have some other interesting conversations to have with you. So thank you for your questions and comments. We love hearing from you. And you always do our sign off, so go ahead.
And so I say to you to eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
Have a great afternoon,
Have a
guys.
good night, folks.
Thanks. Bye.